This week, coming up from the ashes.
I love the fact that they made the killer clumsy as fuck.
Oh, dude!
Yes.
Every single movie, though.
So
Yes.
the fact that you can tell that, like, you know, when you watch like Halloween or you watch Friday the 13th, you know, you have these, you know, basically superhumans coming after you.
Yes.
And then when you watch a Scream film, you just see like the killers falling all over the place. People are able to fight.
Today is February 5th, 2024. Welcome to From the Ashes. I am your host, Phoenix.
I am your ever silent co-host, Arsonist Clown.
Chaotic Amanda here.
I'm still laughing, but I'm Flerp.
All right, so welcome everybody. We are going to be talking all about Ghostface, all about Scream, all about the Scream franchise, guys. That's what it's all about today. First of all, how are you guys doing?
I would like to keep that under wraps.
10-4.
Saturday, finally.
I'm a little gassy, but I'm fine.
Oh my goodness.
I'm a little gassy.
Like, oh fuck, I can't stop laughing. Okay, I think we're good.
He's over there.
Come on.
He's over there laughing, like pushing one out. Hey, to each their own. But yeah, so today's all about Scream. I've been watching to catch up all week. I've been watching all of the Scream movies. I've seen the first four. I finally got the first two, I guess, of the new trilogy is what you call them. I finally watched that, and I'll tell you, it's interesting. But we're gonna get into it. Scream 1, guys. Let's hear it. Anybody want to take the reins on this one?
I'm sure Amanda would love to.
All right, Amanda. Let's talk the synopsis and what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm not good at synopsis. I'm not good at repeating those without giving spoilers, which of course, I mean, there's not really spoilers to give here because we're going to be giving all kinds.
Yeah. We should name the podcast spoilers, but no, I'm just kidding.
Right. Like first word of the description, spoilers.
Yeah.
Flerp, do you want to do the synopsis? Because I really am bad at it.
I don't. What does the word synopsis mean?
Basically, give a brief summary of the movie.
Okay, yeah. So, basically, there's this standardized white woman from horror films, and she's dating some guy, and you think that he's the killer, but then he's not, but then he is, and that's the movie.
Wow.
But then there's more. Yeah, Flerp, that was a horrible explanation.
I mean, I thought we were doing like spoiler free. I don't know.
No. This is all spoilers all day.
So basically, the way that it breaks down is Scream is it's a slasher film from 1996. Number one of my favorite things about it, starting off, you get to see Drew Barrymore get stabbed, which is awesome. But basically, you've got your standardized teen cast from every early 90s film. It touches a lot on previous slasher films.
Yes.
Leading into like the two killers from this film, they really just want to feel kind of that, that slasher feeling.
What? Two killers?
Yeah, there's two killers.
What?
That's insane.
Well, shit, okay. Now I lost my train of thought.
See, Phoenix, come on now.
Oh, gosh. I'm still shocked on the two killers.
Oh, my goodness.
So we have Billy Loomis and Stu Macher. Just your two standard run-of-the-mills. Billy has a good reasoning for the reason why he's tormenting Sydney, which is the main protagonist of the series. Basically, his dad was having an affair with her mom. him and Stu killed her mom. Doesn't really get explained why Stu is killing people. It
Peer
really
pressure.
does just kind of
Peer
seem like,
pressure. Come on.
yeah, like he does say at the end of the movie, peer pressure, and like to be completely honest, I think it was just peer pressure because he has no reason to be doing this.
Yeah, I was gonna say it. He specifically says it. I love when he gets on the phone, like, "Hey, what's up?" Basically, you know, he's like sitting there, like dying, like, "Hey."
Yeah, right.
And then, of course, Amanda's favorite line.
Yeah, he's like on the phone. Did you really call the cops? Yeah, I sure as fuck did. My mom and dad are gonna be so mad at me.
So
iconic.
I loved every aspect of this movie. It was really good from beginning to end. Granted, when I first watched it, it was jaw dropping to think that they had two killers. It was crazy because I don't know if that's ever been done really. But not only that, but I loved Jamie Kennedy in this movie. Randy was amazing. I loved how he was
Can you
just
describe his rules?
he has a lot of them.
Rules?
Rule 632.
Specifically,
Right?
this movie that you mentioned.
Well, it's kind of funny because, you know, so like, what was it? Like rule number one of them was, you know, we mentioned as before we started to record, Flerp was like, "I'll be right back."
No, that was rule number 3. I
Rule
wrote
number
these
3.
down when I watched
Oh.
the movie this week.
All right, so go through the rules with us,
Oh.
okay?
Okay, so, well, first, when the whole thing starts, before Randy even gets into the rules, the whole thing that starts it is only virgins can outsmart the killer in the big chase scene. And then he's like, it's one of the rules of horror. And they're like, the what? And he's like, oh, you don't know the rules of horror. Let me tell you all about it. And then rule number 1, never have sex. Sex equals death.
Yeah.
Literally what I wrote down. I love it. Number 2 was never drink or do drugs as they're cheering with their beers.
Yep.
There's that.
And he's got one in his hand too.
Exactly. Then number 3, never say, I'll be right back. Which I also thought was funny because as Gail and the cameraman in the van were watching the video feed, before that part on the 30-second delay comes up,
Yeah.
Gail says, I'll be right back. And I'm like, I see.
And that's one of the greatest parts of that entire movie too, because he's explaining all of this while everybody at the party is already hammered.
Right. Everybody's already hammered. People are in different areas of the house. People are already being murdered. Like, we're already done here.
Hey,
Rules don't apply anymore.
I'm gonna say the murder I hated the most was Henry Winkler. I hated seeing him die, like, but it was also kind of funny. Like,
it was funny.
the way he screamed and stuff was hilarious. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was good. Well, and then at the party when they're like, "Oh, they found the principal hung up on the goalpost. We got to go see before they take him down."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, they all rush out. Hey, that
What a
saved all their lives.
Yeah, it really did, though.
I was just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was you know,
Yeah. Well, and probably the one thing I really liked the most too, like with this film, was like all of the references to other horror films, like the nod to other horror. It was like I didn't realize, I think, how much, like, I didn't retain how many references there are, but then as I was like watching it to like take notes, I was like, holy shit, there's actually a lot in this.
Yeah.
Because it's
Well,
like,
that was one of the things that really kind of like made this movie terrifying for me, because a lot of the questions, especially when Ghostface was on the phone, a lot of his questions were about real life things, you know,
right.
Real life horror movies that we've seen. And it just kind of like, it brought out more of a realistic feeling to these movies than a lot of the other ones that you would see.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, I mean, for the director of the film, and who was known for more of a non-realistic type of slasher film, as in Nightmare on Elm Street, to come around and do something like this was absolutely amazing. Like, because he goes from the dream world to realistic realism, I mean, it's just like straight up. So it's
which is funny you mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street, because one of the references is Elm Street with the janitor. in the first movie.
Right. Because
Right before the principal dies.
His name was Fred too.
His name is Freddy. He's wearing the whole Freddy Krueger outfit, like the striped shirt, the hat, everything. And it's just like, that was not subtle in any way, shape, or form, but I still love it.
But that's the thing is, that's the thing though, is when you're Wes Craven, you can do that kind of stuff because that's your movie.
Right? Exactly.
So, you know, which made that even better because they referenced everything from, you know, Halloween to Friday the 13th. Like, they referenced everything. And the references get even more in depth within every movie. Like, they talk more and more about this stuff.
And some of the references, like, if you don't know the movie, you don't realize the reference. Like, one I caught that probably a lot of people don't catch is, I think it was Tatum said it, but it was like, I spit on your garage. And I was like, oh, I know what that's a reference to. That's I spit on your grave, which, you know, that's not a major, like, mainstream movie. So a lot of people probably don't catch that reference, but I was just like, oh, didn't catch that the first time around. Okay.
Yeah, phenomenal movie back in the day. Terrible remake.
That's the one where where the girl is like straight up assaulted, right? And then she goes around and kills them all.
Yep.
Yeah. So
assaulted is definitely the word.
Well, I mean, there's so much more to it, but you know how I am. So
you know, PG.
Yeah. Yes. Well, for me, yes. You guys aren't have to be that, but you know, but yeah. So I know those movies.
Just in general, that movie, like the description was PG. It's not that you're PG because you got your moments.
I do have my moments. I mean, to be fair, I'm sure the appeal to half that movie for most guys is that woman spends half the movie naked, like at least the first part of the movie. But it's not in a way that you can enjoy that kind of thing. Like, it's like if you enjoy that, then you definitely need help. So
yeah, well, there's that.
Yeah, there is that. I thought about watching all those movies, but then I was like, like I'm good. So, anyways, but yeah, so Scream was quite a ride, you know. What about you, Arson?
It was definitely an entry that pretty much revolutionized the way we think about horror movies. The whole two killers. I mean, we've been talking about actors and lore, but let's talk kills.
Right.
That garage door, huh?
The garage door, Rose McGowan just I'm gonna go get a beer.
Right.
Let's just say though, how improbable is that to happen though? Because those things can't handle much weight.
Right.
The odds of that happening were zero, but you know, it's a movie.
Yeah.
It made a great kill.
I wonder what did anybody do research on kill counts for each movie?
I did not.
No, I didn't.
Didn't even think about that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing that I thought to do.
You want
hold on, I got this.
There were 7 deaths.
In the first one?
In the first Scream, there were 7 deaths.
Only 7?
There was Stephen Orth, which was gutted by Stu. Casey, who got stabbed the tongue and then got hung from a tree.
Yep.
Arthur got stabbed, gutted, and hung from a goal.
Yep.
Riley got his head crushed in a garage, or her door. She got crushed by the garage. Kenny got his throat slit. Stu got stabbed a bunch, and his head was crushed and electrocuted by a TV. And Billy was stabbed a bunch and then shot in the head when he decided to come back for one last scare.
Yep, and that's the name. I think that's number one rule. They always come back.
Right.
I think that is the number one rule. So
the final scare.
The final scare. All right. So yeah. So, that's pretty interesting. I'm pretty sure. Let's watch that because I'm pretty sure the scream count or the kill count goes up with each Scream movie.
Oh, I guarantee it.
So let's anything else to be said about this first movie?
Just kind of one thing. It's a smaller thing. But it kind of set the standard for another thing that just kind of made it more realistic to me. And it continued in the newer Scream movies, like all the way up until the most recent one. I love the fact that they made the killer clumsy as fuck.
Oh, dude!
Yes.
Every single movie, though.
So
Yes.
the fact that you can tell that, like, you know, when you watch like Halloween or you watch Friday the 13th, you know, you have these, you know, basically superhumans coming after you.
Yes.
It's
And then when you
basically a
watch
walking
a
grinder.
Scream film, you just see like the killers falling all over the place. People are able
Yes.
to fight. And like one of the things that I really love is every one of these situations, the killer could have lost. And it kind of like a lot of people don't pay attention to this, but it's normally the survivor's own dumb mistake that leads to them dying. So I always kind of loved that. Every fight was literally like a struggle for survival. It wasn't just, oh, you're dead in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, oh god, I couldn't say enough good things about these series. But yes, we can continue on to Scream 2.
So I will say one last thing about that, like you said. I love the clumsiness. I really do. Because and as I was watching it, it's always you're always waiting for the part where they one up the killer just to get away, just to get caught back up with and killed. And but it's great because you know you never know for 100% unless you've seen all the movies. You don't know for 100% if that person's actually gonna die because you know as we'll see throughout the rest of the series, other things happen as well. So, all right, so let's move on to number 2, Scream 2. All right, Amanda, let's hear the synopsis from you.
Oh God, me again?
Yes. Well, I mean, you pushed it on Flerp, but you know,
I did.
that was interesting.
Wait, but really
Yeah.
quick, Amanda can start with the rules for Scream 2.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, I didn't write
She didn't write
down.
those down.
I didn't write those
Oh,
down.
But you know one of the lines.
So Scream 2 is Sydney goes to college. So that's, I mean, we're in a new setting. So there's this, and then you've got the franchise, the Stab franchise. So now not only are we in a horror movie, but we have a horror movie within a horror movie that's about the horror movie that we're watching. It's a whole like rabbit hole, like Inception bullshit.
and it's set 2
And-
years after the original.
Right. And so, you know, Sydney's gone to college, all the things. And the first Stab movie is coming out, which is the whole events from the first movie. And so the core group of survivors from the first film are really kind of navigating, having their Sydney having her safety nets in place, having experienced that whole thing. And then also with the Stab franchise coming out, them trying to figure out like, oh, okay, this is like, you know, resurfacing some things. And then all of a sudden shit goes south at the premiere of Stab where they're going to college.
See what
so then
happens
it's
in
like,
that.
oh shit.
What happens in
it-
that premiere?
It's so funny because
Hello.
I think we just had a malfunction.
I think we did too. So
Oh no.
sorry. So in that, let me finish my thought there. So in that you have the chaos in the theater, like it's absolute chaos.
Yeah.
And it's funny because as I was watching it this week, I was like, this is like a whole new level of chaos, but it's like kind of related to like how we are as a society with like true crime type stuff. Like me, I love true crime. Do I go on that level of chaos with it? Absolutely not. But
Say, I
like,
sure hope not.
I live for true crime stuff. Like I'm always looking for it. I'm keeping up on the things. Like I'm up to date on like new cases and things. Like I know stuff. And so it was just a little funny to me watching it because I'm like, they're going absolutely batshit wild. And it was just a lot. But then like the whole thing of like somebody getting stabbed and murdered in front of a whole theater of people because they're just so oblivious to what is happening because they think it's a whole stunt. Which is like the whole concept of like another movie that maybe we'll talk about later on, but like Hellfest, like it's a whole like theme park that's a Halloween attraction. People are getting murdered in it and people don't know because it's a Halloween attraction. So it's like that whole same concept of like we're immersing ourselves in this fear, but not paying attention, or like we just think everything's part of the thing and we're not really being very observant. So it was wild. But one funny thing with that opening scene, which I never noticed, but when I had Mage watching it, he pointed it out, and I was like, "Oh, you're right." Is one specific song, so Red Right Hand by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, was in the opening. Like they played that song in the opening with the theater, and that was also a song in the first movie. So it was like a repetitive song throughout the franchise.
Right.
And I never noticed it. And then he was like, "Didn't we just hear this song in the first one?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're right, actually. That's wild." But yeah, that was probably very long-winded. But
Well,
second movie, City goes to college, Stab franchise comes out, chaos.
I was
And
sad.
then we get some new rules.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
But I was sad to see Omar Epps die first. Omar Epps.
Yeah.
So, Scream 2, it starts off great. Starts off with Jada Pinkett Smith out with another man in 97, the year they got married. But anyway, Omar Epps dying right at the beginning of the movie. That scene is the reason why I open every stall door in the bathroom before I go.
It's kind of awkward if someone's in there. Like, carry on.
But that entire scene is why I was afraid of public bathrooms for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. See, I've never been afraid of that, but so that it's really is a great movie. I think it had one of the best casts, from the originals all the way down to having Cotton in there, even having like Sarah Michelle Gellar, like Joshua Jackson. He was in there for like a blink of for a second, like he was in their film class, which I was like, holy cow. Timothy Oliphant, I think that's how you pronounce it. And
Agent
then
47.
And then we got Jerry O'Connell. Frickin' Jerry O'Connell was in this movie, and of course he's like the big suspect because he's the love interest. but it was a really good movie. And then you've got Aunt Jackie, is what I'll say, Laurie Metcalf. However, Flerp calls her something else.
Andy's mom from Toy Story.
Andy's mom. You have all these big name actors. We have Rebecca Gayheart. There was just a big list, of on top of the OGs. Tori Spelling was in it. Luke Wilson, David Warner, which he was the drama teacher in that movie, and I only remember him from like any movie I see him in. It's always goes back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 2. Secret of the Ooze. He played the professor in that. So, or the doctor or whatever, but I just thought it was really cool. They had a really good cast to it, and that being out of the way, the movie also Heather Graham was in it. So, she played basically the part of what's her face? Drew Barrymore. So, but yeah. Yeah, so it was a really good cast. I
thought it was funny, like with Gail. Gail is like fucking ruthless in the first, like with her reporter mindset in the first film, and then it's like in this film, like the fucking tables have turned, and like all of the reporters are like harassing the snot out of her, and she's getting pissed off. I'm like, doesn't feel great, does it, bitch?
Let's face it, Gail is a douche throughout the whole series when it comes to stuff like that.
I can't deal with her. I cannot. She's just too much. She's a fucking distraction the entire franchise.
Yeah.
And she's the reason some people get murdered or stabbed.
Right.
Like, let's be honest.
Well, let's be honest. Sydney is also part of the reason too. Like some of them die.
Yeah, but like it specifically in the second film, like with Dewey and Gail, when they're like checking the film.
Mhm.
And she's in the like soundproof room, and Dewey's like, Gail, and she can't hear him. And then he gets sad because he's not paying attention because he's more worried about getting Gail's fucking attention.
Yeah.
Like, she's just a distraction. The
Poor
whole
Dewey.
franchise. Dewey, listen.
That man was
Dewey's
stabbed so
character
many times.
development, though, 10 out of 10.
Oh, I agree.
10 out of 10.
I totally agree.
Dewey's probably my favorite character. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So okay,
yeah.
so yeah, that movie was amazing. I would list it higher than what some people would. But I really like the cast in it. That's my number one thing. And let's talk about the killers of this movie. Like, I mean, seriously.
Once again, one is just there for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Once again.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like it's really strange, but the killers are basically Billy Loomis's mom and one of the classmates, Mickey, and like they're just like really like it's kind of interesting how that movie did try to point to a couple of of course like in good fashion of Scream, it tries to point to everybody at one point. Hell, for one moment you could think it was possibly Dewey or no, not really, but you know what I mean.
Well, yeah. Well, in Scream 2 did more so of like the pointing the finger game really aggressively. But as it makes sense because they've already lived through this and they're like, we got to figure out who it is so we don't go through all this shit again.
Right.
Which of course, based on past experiences, they're like, it's definitely the boyfriend. And plot twist, it wasn't, but yeah.
But for it to be Billy's mom, like I kind of felt like her character anyways was a little sus at the beginning. So but yeah. So what were you saying, Flerp?
So like I completely understand the concept of Nancy Loomis being like the main killer. And then of course, we had Mickey, who was just kind of fucking there for some reason.
Right.
But like, here's my thing, my entire freaking standpoint on this, and I've said this before. I don't get it. So Scream 2, it's very far down on my list. And the reason being is because of the fact that there's no reason for Nancy Loomis to be the killer. And the reason is it kind of shits on the motive of the first movie. Because the first movie, the reason why Billy Loomis is a killer is because Maureen Prescott, which is Sydney's mom, was having an affair with her father, which caused his mom to abandon him.
Right.
And if his mom abandoned him, which caused him to become a serial killer,
why
is his mother who abandoned him now the main killer in the second movie because her child that she abandoned got killed for being a killer? It didn't make a lot of sense to me, and also the whole parents being a killer over their dead child's shit. I feel like that's a little overplayed. But like it was still a really cool movie. I just didn't understand that I didn't understand why that was the direction they opted to go with that one. Still a great movie, still has my favorite kill in the entire Scream franchise. But I don't know, the ending for this one was just weak for me.
Well, we'll have to come back to that because another movie later on decided to play off of this sort of. So, we'll circle back to that. But any thoughts on this, Arson, before we move on to the next one? Give us some thoughts.
Did we read the rules, by the way? Because I can read the rules real quick.
Yeah, the rules, what are the big ones? The ones that everybody knows. The sequel, the body count is always bigger. And that's it. That's all I really wanted to say. Flerp can read out the rest of the rules really quick.
So this movie actually only had 2 rules. It technically had 3, but it only had 3 in the teaser trailer for the film.
Scrap that. Scrap the 3rd rule because of something about the never assume that the killer is dead or something like that.
Yeah.
Never assume that the killer is dead, which
Yeah.
You know, it's the last line from the first Scream that, you know, the killer always comes back to life for
Right.
one last scare. But the second one is in the sequel, the death scenes are always much more elaborate with more blood and gore. And that really did show through
Right.
in the second movie, especially with Randy's death.
Oh my gosh,
Not
Randy.
Randy.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, when Randy died, I was shocked.
I was devastated.
And when they opened the door and they actually showed Randy and he was like a bloody corpse, it was like,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, they stepped it up for this one.
Yeah. So yeah. So what is there any other rules? What was it?
Oh, wait, really quick before we move on. The kills!
I was about to say that.
Of course, we've gone from, what was it, 7 kills to
Mhm.
10.
The 10.
Whopping
There was
10 kills.
there was 8 kills in the first Scream movie.
Yeah, 8 kills in the first. Now we have 10 here. And
So-
listing them off here really quick. We have Mr. Phil stabbed in the ear through the bathroom. That
Oof.
was
Oh, yep. Mhm.
really unpleasant. We got Maureen. You know, that whole scene was pretty tragic.
Right.
Yeah.
Wild.
We're thrown off the balcony. What a shame.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Randy, poor Randy, slashed to
Randy.
death inside that
God.
van. Officer Andrews, who got his throat slashed. Yeah, we got Richards, which was a bit of a disturbing one for me because he got like was it a pipe? It was like a pipe
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
metal pipe.
Metal
through the
pipe.
head. Like he was like twitching after.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite kill from a Scream movie.
Oh, nice.
Then we got Hallie stabbed in the chest once, and then that got finished off.
Mm.
Mhm.
We got Derek
Derek.
shot in
Oh,
the heart.
Derek.
Poor Derek.
Shot in the heart. Yeah,
He
yeah,
was a good dude. He was actually
He was.
he was gonna be a doctor.
Yeah, so bad.
Pre-med. Anyways, go ahead.
And then our final 2 kills capping off the Big 10 are Miss Loomis and Mickey
Yes.
shot, respectively.
I wonder how many people were stabbed in those movies. Well, that's a whole other story for another day. Like
Yeah.
the stab
my
count
God.
would be interesting. But let's move on. So Scream 3, I feel like we're gonna be talking less about this more than the most of them.
Mhm.
But let's just get that out of the way. Cause
By far, in my opinion, the worst one. By
Yeah.
far.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can we just skip this one?
No. No.
Well,
So
so we have to talk about the fact that this was the first one in the franchise with only one killer.
Yes.
And so when we watched the first one, we're like, oh, 2 killers. So then when the second one came up, we're like, oh, it's probably 2 killers again, right? And then we get the third one and we're like, oh, who's the 2? And then it turns out to be 1, and we're like, what?
yeah.
How dare they only have 1 after giving us 2?
So
And so that was wild.
Right. So let's talk the synopsis real quick. So basically the film kicks off 3 years after the previous film, Scream 2.
Mhm.
And Sydney has gone into basically isolation or exile. Following
I call her a mountain woman.
mountain woman.
Yeah.
She lives
Yeah.
on a mountain with her dog.
She became Bigfoot.
Yeah. So because of the isolation, she does that following the events of the previous films, and during that time, they have made a couple more stab movies, they've made 2, and they're in doing the third one, and this movie takes place in Hollywood during the production of the movie. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, this movie was kind of all over the place.
Yes.
They threw so much. We found out that Sydney's mom tried to be an actress for a couple years. She was in a few films and she was a complete whore. I mean, I feel like that she became that because
She was your standard Hollywood actress.
yes, but that damaged her, and I feel like that gave her some backstory to let us know of why she was the way she was. It gave her like an excuse, apparently. and which is yeah, we'll just leave it at that. But anyways, it did have two scenes in there that my two favorite scenes in that movie were number one, and I've talked about this when we were talking about our top 5, is Jay and Silent Bob is in the movie. You blink once and you miss them. You know, of course, Bob doesn't talk at all, but in fashion, Jay does all the talking. But they're there, and they're like, it's like on a tour of a movie set of the movie lot, and they're just walking on by. Yes, and I thought it was cool, and and of course Jay mentions about Gail or something or other, and it's quite funny. And then the best part of the whole movie is when Randy's sister shows up.
Yep.
Yeah, which leads us to the rules for Scream.
Here we
3.
go. Here we go. Did you like that segue?
Arson, do you want to take this one?
What?
Well, I guess I could just. I'll do one. Isn't there 3 rules? There's like 3 rules.
Yes, there was 3 rules in this one.
All right, I'll do the first one. You'll do the second, and Amanda will do the third.
Oh, I don't know what they are.
It's okay. I will send them to you.
Okay.
Arson, I take it you're going to do the superhuman one?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So I am sending them to you right now, Amanda.
10-4.
So, while they're doing that, I guess I will say the first rule. I think it was something along the lines of, you got a killer who's gonna be superhuman. Human.
Yeah.
Stabbing him won't work, shooting him won't work, blah blah blah. You gotta freeze his head, decapitate him, or blow him up. That's basically good old Randy.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rule number 2 is anyone, including the main character, can die. And then he prefaces this means you, Sid.
Yeah.
Very important.
And then Amanda.
And then 3 was the past will come back to bite you in the ass. Whatever you think you know about the past, forget it. The past is not at rest. Any sins you think were committed in the past are about to break out and destroy you.
Yep.
So lots of chaos for the third film.
There was.
Yeah.
Look.
Then, interesting fact, there was a 4th rule that they removed from the movie.
What was that?
The fourth rule was going to be never be alone, but was taken out of the film because Gail immediately goes off alone.
Yeah.
Checks out, though.
So
I mean,
not much has changed with this, except for Scream 2, basically Dewey and Gail get together, finally.
ugh.
And then Scream 3, they tend to break up. And it's because of Dewey, but it's also because...
As he should.
Yeah. I mean, Gail's the one that, like, only sees dollar signs, which, whatever. But Gail really is a douche in these movies. I'm sorry. She has some of her shining moments, but then it's ruined when the next movie starts up. Like, straight up. Like, every single time. But, you know, okay, so basically, the way this happens is Sydney has a half brother, and that is the past that comes back to bite him. And it ends up being Roman Bridger, who is the director of the Stab 3, which just happened to fall in place, which was perfect for him, is the way he basically put it. And so he wanted to kill Sydney, basically, to, you know, avenge his mother, basically. I don't know. It was kind of stupid, really. Straight up. But yeah, it is the one Scream that has one killer only, and it was really like interesting to see that. However, let's and we can move on from this movie, because I'm not, you know, it's not any of our favorites at all. So
No.
But we will talk about the kill count, and I do want to make one final remark. So all right, so what's the kill count on that, Arson?
The same amount, actually. We only got 10 kills.
And who
So it
were
was-
they?
First kill capping off is Christine, stabbed in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Cotton, beat up and stabbed in the head.
Oh man, that was rough.
Poor Cotton.
Yeah,
Sarah knocked through the window and stabbed in the back.
Sarah, that was Jenny McCarthy, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we got Steven stabbed in the back and cronked with a frying pan.
So stop right there for 1 second. That's like my favorite kill because he was kind of like this uppity, another douchebag, uppity like security guard that was like, "I've got this. This is mine. You're in my world." And then he like, I love Patrick Warburton. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great actor. You know, he's a good voice actor. But yeah, in this movie, I was glad that he took one to the everywhere. So go ahead.
Yeah. Then we got Tom Prince got blown up. That gas leak scene was so stupid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How any of them
But yeah,
survived
he
it
got-
anyways? I'm just saying they were too close to the house, first of all. But anyways,
Yeah, he got blown up, and then we got Angelina stabbed in the chest. Tyson stabbed, neck broken, and thrown off a balcony.
Oof.
Jennifer got stabbed. John sentenced to development hell. He got his throat slashed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then finally, we got Mr. Roman Bridger, repeatedly stabbed, shot, and then finally capped off in the head with a headshot.
Well, I will say this, okay? I did like that Roman, being the only killer, had a kill count of 9. You know, I know there was 10 in the movie, including him, but 9. That's impressive because you got to figure every other movie before this had a combined kill count of that many, 8 or 10 or whatever it was, and that's including the killers. So you gotta
Voice changer.
do what?
Teased it with a voice changer.
Yeah, the voice changer, exactly. I agree. The voice changer was awesome. But yeah, so it really was cool how he just was able to change his voice into different things. It was a different add to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to be able to
Like,
use the
like,
voice
it
changer to
made no
lure
sense.
people.
But it was entertaining.
Yeah. And he did. He lured a lot of people, like Jessica. I don't know why I'm saying that. What's her name? Well, anyway, Sarah, the one that played Sarah, Jenny McCarthy. Like, but to be fair, it really wasn't a voice changer on that one. It was just Roman. So
Yeah.
but anyways, but yeah,
It's the one time he didn't use it.
I know I'm an idiot, but that's. Anyways, neither here or there. Arson, take it away.
You tired of hearing of our voices? That's completely okay. We got an ad break coming right up.
Hello?
Hello?
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
Someone is playing a deadly game.
It all began with a scream over 911.
Someone who's seen one too many scary movies.
Do you like scary movies?
What's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a scary movie.
Don't answer the phone. Don't open the door. Don't try to hide.
You're not scared, are you?
Scream. Rated R.
So, did you enjoy that little ad break? I know I didn't. Anyways, where were we again, gentlemen and gal?
Well, it looks like we're approaching our next movie, which is Scream 4, the continuation and the final in the original quadrilogy. And
The original OG group
yes. So
storyline.
the
Yes.
original storyline caps off and finishes with this. So to talk about this, we have Flerp.
All right, so welcome to Scream 4. There's not going to be any made-up words in mine. So basically what this one comes down to is this actually takes place 15 years after the original movie started. And Sydney is now a published author. She has written a self-help book and returned to Woodsboro for a book tour. Due to this, it brings back Ghostface. Basically putting everybody that she loves in danger. Now, you know, as the movie goes on, it's like, oh my god, Ghostface is back. I'm kind of confused. What's going on? And it seems like there's a new main target in the series outside of Sydney, which comes in the form of Jill Roberts, which is Kate Roberts, which is Sydney's aunt. So I guess Jill Roberts would be her cousin. Is that how that works? Someone
Correct.
explain. Yes, cousin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this would be her cousin, and Jill seems to be kind of like the main victim of the movie. It seems like outside of Sydney, I honestly thought this was going to be the movie where Sydney died, but anyway, moving on. It goes on. Bunch of people die, and then they constantly throughout the entire movie they're pointing kind of towards the boyfriend being the killer. And then just kind of sum it up a little bit. Should I just announce who the killers are?
That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so at the end of the movie, complete plot twist to me. You know, we get introduced to Charlie Walker, which was I thought he was going to be the new series Randy.
I did too.
When they released Charlie, I thought he was going to be the new series Randy, and I thought Jill was going to be the new series Sydney because I thought they were going to kill Sydney, and it turns out that Jill and Charlie were the killers because Jill was big butt sad that Sydney was the famous one in her family and she wanted all the attention. So she was basically framing the entire situation to where she was going to be the new survivor and be a way better survivor than Sydney ever was. And it was really just kind of pick-me syndrome.
Yeah, for sure.
And then at the end of the movie, we find out, oh shit, she didn't actually kill Sydney. And then she tries and she dies in the process. Guess how?
How?
Headshot.
Oh, wow, really?
Headshot.
It seems
Was
like
it a
there's
headshot?
Actually, I don't even think she needed to get shot in the head. I think they just did it for good measure.
I think she got shot in the heart, wasn't it?
No, I think she got shot in the head at the very end, specifically for good measure.
All right.
It's that Zombieland rule, double tap.
I did
Yeah,
like.
because
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I did like Judy Hicks in that movie. She was annoying as all get out at points.
Yep.
But at the end, she really like. I mean, let's be fair. Freaking Gail is still a douche in this movie.
Yep.
and you know, and Judy Hicks is the deputy at the time, and she gets like shot like 5 times. And you think she's dead, but then I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, I hope she's wearing a vest. And all of a sudden, she pops up and has a vest on, and I was just like, I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
But to think that Jill was the cousin and Charlie is the brother of Macaulay Culkin, you know, like, but Rory Culkin played such a good role in this movie. I enjoyed his part the whole time. He had me fooled 100%. Like, how did those two even hook up? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, how did that happen? Like, says every nerd everywhere.
So it's funny because I was telling Flerp earlier, for me, like seeing Emma Roberts in this movie, she's normally like the bitchy, like HBIC bully bitch, right? And things that she like American Horror Stories, Scream Queens, like in the horror franchise things that she's in, she's the bitchy one.
Yeah.
And so when I was watching this and she was like the nice, innocent, sweet, I was like, one of these things is not right here. I was like, the math ain't math in here. What's going on? And then when I got that ending, I'm like, there it is. Here it is.
Yeah.
Okay, this is making more sense now. So like was a surprise, but like in the back of my head, I was like, this is off. So like the back of my mind was like, okay, this is not that big of a surprise. But then um it was at the same time because of how they portrayed that character throughout the entire film.
Right.
And of course, it was her and her friend group targeted. Like they didn't really give a shit about the original characters. They really didn't.
No, they didn't.
They were not targeted. And so it was very fascinating, but then it's like at the same time, it's like, oh, that I guess that kind of makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
Because Ghostface always has like a clear target. And of course, in this film, they're also targeting the boyfriend of Jill to be, the killer. So once again, we're blaming the boyfriend. So
Right. Which
always blame the boyfriend first.
it had a nice little twist to it. Like it really did.
Yeah, it did.
I think it's almost like to me close to second to the top of of killers.
Yeah,
Like plot twist wise in the movies. I liked how they had a lot of the characters in here, like Kirby Reed.
I loved Kirby.
I did too. And Judy Hicks. Like I said, I like the new additions. And this is the first time we see a movie inside of a movie inside of a movie.
So, yeah, that opening.
The opening was like
good night.
Yeah, Stab 6 was actually Stab 7, which was inside of Scream 4.
It was too
Scream
much.
4, one of the rules for Scream 4 was you have to have an opening sequence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that kind of worked out, even though it was kind of stupid at the same time.
They had 3, so yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say one thing, and we can move on because this movie was good, but it's I feel
It's
like
in
there's
the bottom half of my list.
Yeah.
For sure.
The next couple movies I hold higher than 4, even though
Yes. Agreed.
However, let me just say, can you believe that there is a deleted scene with Wes Craven in this movie? He was a coroner. Yes.
Fun.
And I'm upset that they deleted the scene. Like we never seen. Like I seen that Wes Craven was in this movie. I was like, what? Seriously? And it shows him as a coroner that the scenes were deleted though, unfortunately. Let's talk kill count. Oh, also one more thing. Anthony Anderson was in this movie. I freaking love Anthony Anderson and the way he died. Like he was the cop that got stabbed in the head. The way he died, Deputy Perkins. The way he died, and Adam Brody also. But the way that Anthony Anderson died was just, I'm sorry, it was funny. He gets stabbed in the head, and then he just like slowly like, like like one of those things. It was hilarious. So okay, so on that, let's talk kill count.
But first, no, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna say something. But how many rules are in freaking Scream 4? There's too many. I don't know. I couldn't care less.
They did.
Yeah,
a
Scream
lot
4
more.
had too many rules. I think there was like 6 or 7.
They overdid it.
Yeah.
But that's about all I know about the movie. I haven't really watched the final 3 that have released, so gonna be a bit robotic about these ones.
Domo arigato, Mr. Arson.
There have been 14 kills in Scream 4.
God bless.
14.
We have Trudy and Sherry. I think I slightly remember this. They were the opening kills. One gets stabbed in the chest and the other gets cut off by another ghost face and gets their throat split. So that's Trudy and Sherry. Then we have Rachel, who was stabbed 2 times in the stomach. Marnie Cooper was killed off screen, and then her body was thrown through a window. Jenny Randall in the garage and then stabbed off screen. That iconic garage, gotta love it.
Yeah.
The comeback.
Oh man, my vision got blurry for a second.
Oh no.
All right. Anyways, I'm good. Olivia stabbed and then used. Wait, what was used to break a window and then gutted? I don't want to know how that scene went down. Rebecca stabbed and thrown off a building. Deputy Haas stabbed in the back. Deputy Perkins stabbed in the forehead. Kate was stabbed in the back through a mail slot.
Oh yes.
That was the aunt.
Yes.
Robbie stabbed a bunch.
Hmm.
Trevor shot in the groin and then shot.
Oh
in the head.
yeah. That.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
let's
God.
face it. That was deserved. I mean, to be honest. But Jill killed her own mom. Let's just say that's ridiculous. Anyways, continue.
Charlie died of a
Broken heart.
stabbed heart. Broken heart.
Yeah, broken heart.
I'll say broken heart.
Oh God.
And then finally we have Jill defibrillated in the head.
That
and
was
shot
awesome.
into the heart.
That was
You want to
awesome.
know what? You want to know what one of the interesting things about that entire kill count is? Most of those are before the fucking movie starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flashbacks.
So like if you look at it retrospectively, Jill and Charlie were the shittiest killers in the entire series.
Right. But I mean, to be fair, Jill killed her own mother, which really just that's
Wild.
yeah, exactly.
Psychopath.
She did it to make sure she could claim that fame. Like, mom had to die. Like, are you serious?
Yeah. Right.
Freaking heifer.
What an idiot.
Psychopath.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So that's 4 in a nutshell. Let's move on to 5.
Yeah. 5, also named Scream. Very creative. Very
Yeah.
creative.
Screeve 5.
Right? So Scream 5, we get another time jump once again. So it is set, what, 25 years
25.
later. So it says 25 years after a streak of brutal murders. Now the Scream 5 was released like what, 10 some odd years after 4, something like that.
Yeah.
11 years.
It was 11 years.
Yeah. So we had another like time jump. So Scream 5, we now are introduced to a new starring cast. So, gone are the days of Sydney as the main protagonist. Very sad. We're sad to see Sydney motherfucking Prescott go. It's sad.
Yeah.
And so now we have the new crew. But one big thing in this film is, as the characters deem it, it is a requel, which I love this term.
Mm-hmm,
it is a remake, but a sequel. And so this film has so many nods to the original, and is insane. The new cast, the new main cast, has some kind of connection to the original cast from the first movie. And so a lot of the storyline and things are the same. However, we have new characters. And so it was such a nice concept of a sequel, because while we did get a whole new set of characters, it also wasn't a full remake, and they were still continuing the story on. So this whole story is basically they're all terrorized once again by Ghostface. And of course, this was the first Scream film without Wes Craven. So of course, all of us are like on our toes, like what's going to happen? Is this going to be good? Is it going to be bad? And all of the nods to Wes in the movie were fabulous. Like,
and the tribute at the end,
character, right? Like the one character named Wes. Even though they did kill him, it's fine. I mean, there was a character named Wes. He was killed off, unfortunately.
Wait,
but
somebody
then,
was killed in a slasher film? What?
Right.
That's insane.
And then they have the whole party scene, like for Wes, and like it was so nice. Like when I watched that film for the first time, knowing that was the first one without Wes Craven, I was like, this is so nice. Like it just made my little heart happy, which is, it takes a lot. So yeah, and then just at the whole film, like finding out everybody's connection, because of course you have the twins, which were related to Randy,
right? And I loved,
and the girl was insanely like Randy, and I was like, I love her. And she was Randy on another level. Like she was an enhanced Randy.
Randy times 100.
Right, because like the scene with laying on the couch watching the film, screaming at the movie, which is iconic and it's very much me, and the killer walking up behind, Randy never knew. Randy didn't know that was happening.
Yeah.
But she was self-aware in that moment where she was like, "Oh shit." And she turned around and saw it coming. So it's
Barely.
like barely, right. But like it was Randy on the next level. And so that was really nice because Randy was one of those like wholesome characters that we all loved and we hated to see go. And so now to have basically, Randy reincarnated was great. The biggest sad moment of the movie for me was the downfall of Dewey.
Yeah.
I was like, no, please, God, no, not, don't do this to me. I was devastated because Dewey is like one of my all-time favorite characters. His development was wonderfully done. Like, I was so sad to see him go. So sad.
I blame what happened to him.
I was like, why couldn't it be Gale?
Yeah, I blame what happened to him on Gale.
I blame everything on Gale. Come on now. Everything that happened to Dewey, I'm gonna blame on Gale. She was there for she was there for all of them. I blame him.
Yeah.
Or I blame her. Yeah. Yeah. So it was a wild ride of a movie. And like I said, it was very well done. For being a new installment with a new set of characters.
So how'd that end?
Oh yeah. So Scream 5. So we get to the ending. Of course, we're trying to figure out who the killers are in the entire thing. And my brain is fizzling right now.
Richie and Amber.
Yeah. Well, oh yes. And so we get to the towards the end, and they go to Amber's house where she's having a party. And like for me, I'm watching it and I'm like, why does this seem so familiar? And then I am continuing to watch, and I was like, no. Well, come to find out, Amber lives in Stu Macher's house. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is wild. And so now we have Amber, who is in the house, is like obsessed with true crime, obsessed with this whole story now that she lives in this house, and then teams up with Sam, who is one of the main characters of the new franchise, and it's her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And so, the whole film, I'm like, oh, it's definitely the boyfriend. He's sketchy. This is wild. And it was a very wild ride. In this film, we find out that Sam is also the daughter of Billy Loomis. So, you have both of those connections to the two original killers, which is fabulous. And it's just wild. So we find out that Richie, Sam's boyfriend, and then Amber are both the killers in Scream 5. And one thing I'll mention too, going all the way back to the first film, is I rewatched the first film this week. So a lot of that stuff is fresh. And in the first film, Billy actually makes a quote. There's a quote from Billy about seeing like dead father in flashbacks, like all of this. And I'm like, fun. And in the first Scream movie, that was a reference to Silence of the Lambs, having flashbacks with the dead father, and then to have that embodied in Scream 5 and it be Billy's daughter was like wild to me. And I didn't catch that going through like when Scream 5 came out, but then now rewatching Scream this week, I was like, oh, holy shit.
So let me say this, because the return of Skeet Ulrich was amazing. I loved that they brought him back. Yes. And granted, he was in her mind and Sam's mind, but still so amazing to see him back in here. Also, the guy who played Richie, his name is Jack Quaid, and that's actually Dennis Quaid's son. And I so wanted him to be a good guy and survive, because I wanted to see him in the next movie.
Right.
But it was like all signs were pointing to him, even though him and Sam came from way out of town. However, that doesn't matter because apparently Jill and Charlie decided to, not sorry, Richie and Amber met online, and you know that's how this little thing came to be. So Richie the whole movie acted like he didn't know anything about the Stab films, but yet he was obsessed with them.
Yes.
And they wanted it to go their way, you know, the way it should have gone. And
right.
As stated before, you know, Gail's still a douche. Dewey dies because Gail was like, well, to be fair, Dewey was all about like, you know, let's this is a police investigation.
Yeah.
You know,
which, I mean, Dewey's not even on the police force at this point, right? Because he's now been basically his breakup with Gail caused him to go into a deep depression, and then they basically told him like, you can quit or we're gonna fire you. And so now Judy is the sheriff.
I loved how they brought her back and her son.
Yeah, her son Wes.
Yes. And they both die. This is the first time I think that you see a sheriff killed in the movies. And this set of movies, that is. And let's talk about real quick before we move on about that opening scene. It's got to be the most incompetent Ghostface ever. Like literally Tara was like completely torn apart, you know, like broken leg, just like absolutely like wrecked, but yet survived. And Amber couldn't get the job done, you know. So that set off a chain of events.
Yeah, that's what gets me about like 5 and 6 is I'm like, these people should have died a long time ago.
I'm just saying,
come on.
That was the most incompetent, on her half at least, the most incompetent Ghostface I've ever seen in the beginning of a movie. To actually not be able to kill. Like, you open up the movie killing somebody and you could, because I was watching, I was like, wait, doesn't Jenna Ortega star in this? And she's going to die? And after when it was revealed she survived, I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
I was like,
but before we move on, there was a lot of talking going on, and Flerp has not had his chance to speak his piece.
Yeah.
So, honest opinion, Scream 5, watching this movie, to be completely honest, it almost took my number one spot. It almost topped the first Scream movie for me.
It was good.
The fact that we got introduced to Sam Carpenter, which is the daughter of Billy Loomis, and she has the flashbacks of her dad, are absolutely amazing. The fact that the movie ends with her tapping into her father,
my gosh,
and just stabbing the shit out of Richie. Like, you can't. All I can really say about this movie is, in a world where everything is a reboot or a sequel or a remake now, this is how you fucking do it.
Yep.
Agreed.
Amen.
Agreed. She stabbed him like 24 times, stabbed him in the chest.
He earned it.
Exactly.
He earned it.
Yeah.
So killing Dewey, it sucked. It sucked to see that Dewey died, but I feel like it needed to happen.
Agreed.
I feel like they needed to kill somebody, and they obviously weren't going to kill fucking Sidney Prescott or Gail Weathers.
I would have rather them killed Gail, but...
Sydney killed herself for the next movie, so, you know...
Yeah.
When you get introduced to Dewey's character in this film, he is so defeated. And you can tell that he's already so done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it made the most sense. And also, I hate to say it, but Dewey, you've done this a lot. Why the fuck haven't you learned how to shoot someone in the head yet?
This is true.
But,
so true.
Why did he go back though? I know he was like, let's shoot him in the head, but why leave him first of all, and why go back? Just leave.
I know. Bless Dewey's little heart.
Yeah, I don't understand why he was like, everybody leave, I got this. And it's like, no, dude, you still need help. You're
gonna die.
Yeah.
As he limps his way up there.
Everything about this film was just a perfect nod. And like, even at the end of the movie where you think Sam's about to die, and then she looks in the mirror and she sees, you know, her dad, and he just kind of like looks down at a knife.
Yeah.
I was like, that was fucking cool.
I got cold chills on that. It was so amazing. I loved
And
it.
the fact that they had the umbrella in the little thing too, I was like, is she about to umbrella this man?
Yeah.
Like, but no, I don't think that they could have done anything in this film any better. And I feel like if they would have done anything differently, it would have taken away from the entire experience.
Correct. All right, so that being said, Arson doesn't really have anything to say about this movie since he hasn't seen it, but he does have our kill count for us.
As for this requel, we have a good 8 kills. Same as the first movie. And we're starting it off with these new ghost faces. Their first kill was Vince, who was stabbed in the neck.
Well, hold on, real quick. Vince was actually family to what's his name? Who was the other? Stu Mocker. He was like a family member of Stu Mocker's. Remember that? Did you catch that? He was killed because they were wondering why they killed him. It was random, but it wasn't. He was actually Stu Mocker's like family, like part. But that dude was still a complete douche. But anyways, Vince. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I didn't know that, but that's because I haven't watched the movie.
Yeah.
So, anyways, next is Sheriff Judy, stabbed in the stomach 9 times.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very pleasant.
It wasn't.
And poor Wes, neck stabbed through, that probably isn't pleasant.
Oh, and they
I imagine-
showed
No,
it
was
too.
horrid. I
Oh.
hated it. I hated every second of that one.
It was slow too. They showed it real slow.
horrid.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Oh, when the knife went in the neck.
Yes.
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 Oh, I loved it. I loved it so much.
Oh, it was so. Oh, okay, continue.
I got Deputy Clay, throat slit off screen. Probably isn't very.
Mm-hmm.
He probably wasn't important if it was off screen.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then poor Officer Dewey.
Yeah.
Stabbed, gutted. I actually have seen that scene. That's probably I've seen that one scene because I just remember scrolling through YouTube and it just popped up and I'm like, wait a second, no.
You're like, no. Yeah.
What got me about that death though is for some odd reason in 5 fucking movies, that's the first time the killer's ever carried another knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think they do that more often?
So
At
and
least
then
the more human killers. I imagine Jason and Michael really don't have that problem. They can just do it with their bare hands.
yeah. Well, I mean, considering how incompetent like killers are, like Ghostface killers are, especially these two. Like, all right. So, anyways, and the last two that perished.
Well, actually, there's 3 more.
Oh, 3 more.
There's
Sorry.
Liv,
Oh,
shot
yeah.
in the head, and then Richie stabbed in the cheek and then in the torso 21 times,
Mm-hmm.
and then throat slit.
Yeah.
And then we have Amber, face scorch, and
Yes.
headshot.
When that burner came on, I knew she was gonna catch fire.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I knew she was, but the quickness that she caught fire was, movie magic. But there's no way she would have caught fire that fast. But hey, for the scene, it was great. So all right, guys,
Your 8 kills.
8 kills. That brings us to the last one, Scream 6, and Scream 6. Basically, the whole synopsis to this is it picks up with the new cast from Scream 5, and they all moved to New York, and basically it brings on a new Ghostface, which is really, really interesting. So basically how that opens up is there are a couple of the excuse me, so it opens up I literally just got a brain fart. Sorry, guys.
Don't you hate when that happens?
I really do. All right, so there's these 2 guys. So they all move to New York, and Tara is going to college out there, and Sam is basically seeing a shrink, and the twins are doing the twin things. So they go out there, and there's these 2 new like people out there. You open up seeing this lady in a bar, and she's going to meet somebody, and basically you come to find out she's like the professor of their media club or drama or whatever. And so this person named Jason, oddly enough, like basically kills her as Ghostface. And it's the first time this has ever been revealed, because like after he kills her, he takes the mask off and drops it, and you see who it is. So I was like, that's interesting. They're revealing the killer. How's this gonna go? So he goes home to his roommate. I'm assuming it's his college roommate, Greg, and Greg calls him, and basically it's not Greg, it's the actual Ghostface for the movie. And he's trying to play hot and cold, and come to find out, he basically wanted to kill these two, because these two wanted to go and kill Sam and Tara because they wanted to finish the movie for Richie from Scream 5. So he didn't want that to happen. So he killed both of them. What he did to Greg is absolutely horrifying. He slit him up, cut him up, and put him in the fridge. Like, beheaded him, everything. And put him in the fridge. And then he played hot and cold with Jason until Jason opened up the fridge and saw him, and then Jason died. So, and then it goes on. You go on this whole, who did it? Nobody could be trusted. All of the core group, which is they're now referred to as what? Does anybody remember?
Oh no, not at all.
It has to do with 4.
Anybody, you should have just said Amanda and Flerp, because I don't know.
Wait, what are we talking about? I was looking something
The 4 group, the 4 of them in the last movie. What are they referred to? Well, to be fair, what does Chad refer to them as? A group of 4, but what was their nickname?
I don't remember.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
It's been a minute since I've watched this. Okay.
Oh man, you guys.
Oh, you're talking about the core 4, right?
There we go. Thank you. I was waiting. I was just trying to give you time. The core 4 is what they called it, and they all thought that it was ridiculous name until the end of the movie. but anyway, so basically, they go through all this whole really cool thing, which we're gonna go through, and it turns out to be 3 killers this time instead of 2. And it turns out to be the detective. It turns out to be one of the characters, Ethan, which no one trusted. I didn't trust him at all. And Quinn, who ended up dying in the movie, so we thought. So we thought. So it was really cool the way they did this. There's a lot to unravel in this movie. They did a really lot. So it turns out that those 3 are actually, like, Detective Bailey is the father of Richie Kirsch, and Ethan and Quinn are the brother and sister respectively of said killer from the last movie. And this brings us back to Scream 2, like a full circle of, like, the reboots, the requel, having the next movie have the parents be a part of the killing. And so it was, to me, it was a really, really good movie. It wasn't as good as the 5th, don't get me wrong, but it was a really, really good movie. And
but the 3 killer plot twist,
I didn't see it coming.
Right.
I did not see that coming at all.
But it's funny because, like, in a way you think, like, oh, that makes up one film where there's only 1 killer. So we still haven't, like, it's still averaging 2 per movie.
Right. And yeah, so it's quite interesting, like like Dermot Mulroney was Detective Bailey, and I was thinking, well, he's gonna be a good guy, right? He's not gonna be bad.
Wrong.
Also, there's a huge amount of stabbing in this movie, but yet so many survived. Again,
Right.
you get the core 4 that survive, and I truly thought Chad was dead. Like straight up.
Here's my thing. So in Scream 5, Chad was stabbed 7 times. And he survived.
Yeah, he did.
And in this movie, when number one, I thought this was really cool because this is the first time that you see 2 Ghostface kill a character at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
When you see Scream and Cousin Holler pop out and, they start stabbing the shit out of him, they stab him like 11 or 12 times. So Chad's been stabbed like 19 times total in the series. Dewey was only stabbed 9.
Right. Well, up until he died, he was stabbed 9 before he died.
Yeah, and then 10 was, but they kind of made it known that he was going to get stabbed, that he was going to die because he's like, I've already been stabbed 9 times. What's the worst that could happen?
Right.
But yeah, like Chad, how he's alive blew my damn mind. Like and the one thing that I do hate, and it's one of the things that I've always nitpicked, is the fact that like at the end of the movie, they show these characters like Jenna Ortega. She was like fully fucking stabbed, and at the end of the movie, she's just got like some cloth wrapped around her, and
Right.
she's not in the hospital or nothing. Like they just wrapped it up and called it a day. It's like, ma'am, you need a hospital.
Right. And let's not forget to mention the return of Kirby.
Yes.
I mean, and the fact that they tried to like manipulate us to think Kirby was a psycho.
Which they did a damn good job of.
They really did. I thought, oh my gosh, it's her. And then all of a sudden,
right?
Dermot, Detective Bailey they threw us off. And to be
Kirby
fair,
lost your day of marbles.
I thought Kirby died in the last movie. They never, in the 4th movie, they never said anything about her surviving until she showed up. And I was like, what in the world? And then she describes what happened. And she shows her scars. You want to talk about my scars? Anyways. So, but she talks about that. She's like, she died for 4 minutes. So technically she did die, but she did come back. And so I was glad to see her back. And she actually survived the movie as well.
I was sad to see Gail survive another fucking movie.
I don't know how she survived that. She should have died.
I thought for sure this was going to be the one. I was like, oh my God, it's the one. Wow.
And let's talk about how this is the first movie without Sydney. So Sydney is not present. She is mentioned and she's written off in this storybook ending like, oh, she's had enough. She's going to go live her life with her kids and husband, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, I get it. That's great. You go live your life. But the reason she wasn't in there is because she wanted more money and the studio wouldn't give her the more money, so they wrote her out. That's the reason. And that brings us to
the future of the franchise.
Yes. But that also brings us to Jenna Ortega. Jenna Ortega may not be coming back for the next installment because of similar disputes.
Jenna Ortega can't come back because she has scheduling conflicts.
Yeah, it's a scheduling issue.
From what I heard, I was doing researching on this, and she asked for more money because of, she's got rising popularity. They would work with the scheduling issues.
Well, I also, if it had anything to do with money, I'm pretty sure to get possibly the hottest female star in acting right now, I feel like they would throw whatever they wanted at her. Neve Campbell, that's a little bit different of a story. And the reason why I say that is because, like, her wanting more money is cool, except for the fact that she wants more money to do less work right now, because the story's not about her anymore.
Right.
In the original Scream films, she was paid more than most action actors at the time.
Yeah.
Because those were her movies.
Right.
And, of course, in Scream 5, she didn't get paid as much because of the fact that she was not a main character anymore.
Right.
Right.
And, like, it's kind of like showing up to do a cameo somewhere. Like, they're not going to pay you $1 million to show up somewhere for a half hour.
Right.
Like, well, it's not about her anymore.
Right.
And she needs to realize that. It's probably going to be now that they're fucked, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I mean, you could still star it off of Sam. She is a great actress, and she did a great job.
Sam got fired.
Do what?
Sam got fired.
Wait, Sam did?
Yeah. They fired her.
I did not know that.
So Jenna Ortega and
Sam are both out.
Yeah, they fired Sam's actress.
How you gonna finish the trilogy without the two main stars?
Yeah, well, it's funny because Flerp and I were talking about this earlier too. Because like I was like throwing these like theories, ideas out one day. I think with Mage, and I was like, I don't know what they're gonna do for the 7th movie. Like I have no idea. And then I was like, I could make. I was like, the worst case scenario would be if they did a fucking Gale centered movie. I would literally riot.
They could bring Kirby back too.
And that's like my far off, like probably last resort theory was I'm like, it could be a Kirby movie. Like, I'm like, they could do something with the twins because the twins were iconic.
Yes.
But there's so many like theories that you could go based off of what 7 is going to be. Of course, they could bring Sydney back and do a Sydney movie, which at this point doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But, yeah, like there's so many things that they could do with 7 now that, our 2 new main characters are gone. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, they fired her because she made comments about what's going on between Palestine and Israel, and the studio was like, "Yeah, no, you're not doing that." Even though, like, it's totally something that it's not like you have nothing to do with that. But they fired her on the spot, which made a lot of people very pissed off because she was just speaking what she supports.
Yeah.
And then the same week, Jenna Ortega quit. So I don't know that it actually had anything to do with scheduling issues. But you can't fire the only thing keeping your series going.
Right.
And then expect to make a 7th movie, because Matthew Lillard already stated that he would not, if it was correct, there may have been a situation in which, because one of the most speculated things in all of Scream history is Stu Macher dead?
Right.
And
did you call him Lillard?
Yeah, that's how I've always pronounced it. I don't care if I pronounce it wrong.
Okay.
Why?
But he flat out said that due to what the hell's going on now, he's like, he may have came back as like the main bad guy in Scream 7.
Mm-hmm.
But now the fact that, all of this happened, he's like, that movie's going to end up in development hell, and he doesn't want anything to do with it.
Well, and he's got FNAF, so it's like, he's going to, that
FNAF
franchise is going to be wild.
Fucking sucked.
Whoa, that's for another day.
Yeah.
All
right. So,
I did not have fun with. I didn't have fun with that movie.
Well, all right. So it's interesting that Scream 7. Well, that's for another day, guys. Scream 6 was still in my book a really good movie. Granted, it was
perfect.
It was good. The killers, kind of fall under the line of Nancy Loomis and Mickey. But at least, and it's family. I don't know where Mickey even came in on that, to be honest. It's just like,
right.
But
he just worked there.
Yeah, at least Ethan and Quinn and Detective Bailey were all in it together. They did it as a family. It's all about family. And these movies are definitely all about family. Like, you can't deny that, because every movie is about another crazy family member coming out of the woodwork somewhere along the lines, and it's so nuts. But that being said, we need to check in with Arson. Arson, what's our kill count?
I'm so glad you asked, Richard.
Thanks,
We
Bob.
have a whopping 13 deaths in Scream 6.
Which is the most.
Starting with Laura, who was stabbed 11 times and slashed.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, we already know what happened with Greg. You guys basically had a little conversation about that.
Yeah.
He decided to cool off in the fridge. We got Jason, stabbed 1 time in the back, 11 times in the stomach, and then slashed. And then I do remember this scene, the bodega. That was a pretty good scene. I really liked that. We got bodega customer number 1, stabbed 4 times in the torso. Number 2 was stabbed once in the neck. And then the bodega owner, who really messed up with his shotgun there. and then got shot for it.
Mhm.
And then moving on from the bodega, we got Dr. Christopher Stone, head bashed and stabbed in the face with a knife. We got Quinn's lover, butchered off screen. Poor Anika Kayoko, who, and I quote, was sent dumpster diving from 5 stories up.
Oh, and the marks on her face. Oh my gosh, that was so horrid.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was rough.
Then we got Brooks, stealth killed, then thrown through a bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Quinn, for real this time, brought a knife to a gunfight.
Yep.
Detective Bailey stabbed 31 times and then once more with feeling in the eye. And then finally, Ethan stabbed in the mouth and later crushed with a TV.
Yeah, that was a really good scene to be killed with the same TV that killed Stu. Well, supposedly. So
well, the reason why it's up in the air on whether Stu's actually dead is he was in the second Scream movie.
Was he?
Yes, he was walking around as a background character in a scene. I can send it to you.
I need to see that because I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, he was at a party. Hold on.
It predates all the way back to the beginning.
That's interesting. How in the world?
So they so Matthew Lillard was there for the second filming. Look, I don't care how I pronounce it.
It hurts my head.
Just let it go. Move on.
Get over
it. All right.
But yeah, he was in Scream 2.
Well, you'll have to send that to me, definitely. That's pretty cool. So, all right, guys, that is our full order and disarray of Scream franchise. Maybe we'll do a scary movie next. No, I'm kidding. But everybody knows Scary Movie 2 is the best anyway. So, that's a story for another day. But I want to
quickly. I'm sorry, but anytime I think Scream, I usually don't ever think of the actual Scream movies. I just think of the stupid scary movie part where he runs down the stairs away from the piano.
Oh
yeah. And then the grandma getting hit with the piano.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that movie in so long. I'm gonna have to sit down and watch a couple of them. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me for this past lot longer than what we should have been. I know this episode's a little longer, but we did discuss all 6 of the movies and in pretty good, vivid detail on some of them.
And that was without even tearing apart the TV series.
Yeah, but that's a forgettable thing. So
forgettable. I didn't even watch it.
But guys, if you would like to comment on any of these, any of our talk or whatever, we've got our social media. It will be in the link below in the description. It's our link tree. So if you would like, please comment. Let us know if you have any ideas for future podcasts. We would sure love to hear them. But I hope you guys have a fabulous week. And yeah, just don't ever go out of a room and say, I'll be back. I'll be right back. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for being here with me, all 3 of you.
Yeah.
So, on that note, Arson, would you like to say something before we leave?
I'll be right back, guys.
All right, so he's dead.